I just noticed off to my left there's a recipe for snickerdoodle bread. I like the sound of that. I want some snickerdoodle bread. Anyway, so I just wanted to have like a discussion about a couple things, uh, you know, just saber community wise. Um, Let me see if I can limit myself to three talking points. so, it's interesting because I mean, there's so many things that people um, kind of get involved with communities, how these communities form in social media, and uh, and they just sort of take a life of their own. They take their own language. This this was just meant to roll. Anyway, so I'm gonna give up on that. And I find that fascinating because I'm as well as being into sabers now, and this is my first real year being serious about this particular hobby that I've fallen in love with. I'm also into stand-up comedy, and so I follow all the not really so much the major comedians, but the working comedians who are sort of near fame and fortune, but never really got into like Louis C.K. or Kevin Hart territory. They're just like still funny, and haven't had any kind of like major things happen in their careers to ruin their lives. But just the same, that community has its own language and ebb and flow. I'm friends with several comedians on, well, I wouldn't say friends, but I follow and interact with several comedians on both YouTube and Twitter and Facebook et al. And that there's a language and it's just it's a solid community, and I understand what they go through, and having you know I'm I'm older than maybe you imagine. Although if you watch that last video, I look super old. But yeah, I've been into stand-up comedy my whole life, so it's something I'm very familiar with, and obviously I kind of use humor as a coping mechanism to keep me from going insane in this lovely world that we live in that is so full of wonderful wonderment. Anyway, so there's that. And how it pertains to this is, um, getting really involved in the saber community. With the language and the proclivities of that, it's just super fascinating. And the one thing I've discovered is that this time of year is really fascinating if you're into sabers, because I've discovered that the the Black Friday sales and the Cyber Monday sales and all the sales, and just when you have Saber Trio, um, and this is all becoming relevant. Saber Trio, they had their sale and they produced multiple pieces. They produced some stunt sabers, some MFX sabers, and some CFX NeoPixel sabers, and of course the NeoPixel sold immediately, and I didn't really want to spend that kind of money since I just acquired a NeoPixel, and I still have yet to learn how to install fonts and really fiddle with it. But I was in the market. I was kind of hoping that they would have a Mira. I wanted to get a Mira and just a stunt saber, FX if the price was low enough. But I was just expecting to get a stunt saber, and this leads to another thing and another thing. Anyway, and I'd also been toying with the idea of getting another ArcLight, because everyone knows how much I love the ArcLight. And what I end up finding, one of the few sabers when I finally got to the site, because I sort of screwed up things until someone, well, I already covered this in another video. What was left, the one saber that I bought was the one of the few sabers that was still available was a stunt saber, and I would have bought it anyway. So it was just kind of miraculous that it was sort of available. And what it was it was a arc light, and then the pommel is a Mira pommel, and it's just the way it's all kitted out and everything. It's just a very beautiful saber, and I think I got a really good price on it, so I'm really excited about getting that. And then So that sort of leads into, um, today Vader's Vault. They had a sale that started at noon, and I was stuck at a dealership, but I was kind of following that on my phone, and I was thinking, well, if I could get something below $400, I might consider getting it. But those sold immediately, and then I just kind of I thought, well, maybe I'll get, and that was gone, and then gone because it's Vader's Vault. And if you can get an RTS or a ready to ship saber from any of these companies, and miss having to wait 9 months to a year to however long to get your hands on a beautiful saber. It's a wonderful thing, and as far as I know, they only do it once a year. So that was really special. So a lot of people from Vader's Vault got the full gamut of this price point all the way up to that price point. There was some really expensive pieces, and they were all rather beautiful. Which kind of leads me to my mindset. I've been noticing that neopixels are starting to become all the rage. It just seems that most of the saber companies are just sort of producing CFX equipped neopixel sabers. I was just on the patch store because they have a new Darth Revan. I can only call it a Revan kiss because I just think of the what Vader's Vault calls theirs. And if anybody knows anything about the Revan kiss, it's like an $800 saber. But they have a NeoPixel, and it's somewhere in the $439 range. And then I was looking at everything that they're offering now, and it's all NeoPixel. And most sites you go to are predominantly NeoPixel these days, um, which is which is fine. But I think that there's something to be said for making sure that people can get their hands on good quality stunt sabers, or just simpler FX sabers, for certain budget points. And with the patch store, I mean, for stunt sabers, everything they have is like really, really on the low end of the saber spectrum, and that's why I appreciate how Saber Trio, what I got from Saber Trio, I feel was on the higher end of the stunt saber spectrum without spending a whole lot of money. And I personally, I love a good stunt saber as much as an FX saber or a NeoPixel any day of the week. I find them to be just as desirable. In fact, which is why I really love Ultra Sabers. I just picked up off of eBay the what is it? It's an LE apprentice version of this the Sentinel, and it's the V4, which is what this is, and the LE, which means it has these gold accents, these anodized parts, and that one has an AV switch, which is nice. I mean, I don't mind the guarded switches, but the AV switches are much more aesthetically pleasing, and it has windows, and it has the LED is Sunrider's Destiny. So I've been kind of wanting to get a saber with Sunrider's Destiny, so I'm sort of excited about that. And the thing with these sabers is the simplicity and the lightness and the durability of them. I mean, this thing weighs like half a pound, and you could drive over it with a truck. It's still gonna keep working. I don't know if I've ever even shown this thing, but it's just a really basic. It was a mystery box, with a blue blade and windows, and I love the finish of a good Ultra Sabers. People, they don't give Ultra Sabers the love. It's kind of a niche market, but you can never go wrong with an Ultra Sabers in my book. But then again, I'm very forgiving, and I don't have a whole lot of opinions. I have opinions, but I tend to be a little bit more forgiving of. Let me put it to you this way: you've got two schools of thought on the rise of Skywalker. So here I'm all over the place. You got people that just think, oh, this is going to be a steaming pile of dog poop, and then without even seeing the movie. And then you've got other people that think it's going to be the best movie ever made. And I just go into it, and I'm kind of well, I'm just gonna watch it, and whatever is in front of my face, I'm gonna enjoy it because it's Star Wars, and I'm gonna be super chill about it, and I'm gonna learn to love it, even if I didn't like it initially. Like, let me tell you something. I loathed The Last Jedi. I loathed that movie when I first saw it. And then I saw it again with another friend, and I hated it even more. And then it came out on Netflix, and I watched it on Netflix, and I just. Ah! But you know something? I had a little bit of a shift, and in my perspective and looking at things. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but I just learned. Sometimes you just have to learn to appreciate things for what they are and look at the positives, and just sort of, there's a degree of acceptance that, The Last Jedi, for all of its flaws and weaknesses, it's canon. And honestly, I've actually kind of learned to love that movie. I watched it from beginning to end yesterday, and I found myself rather enjoying it. Now, that may make me a monster, and let's face it, I am a monster. But I don't know. I've learned to love it. So I think that just sort of makes life easier to deal with, if you learn to accept things for what they are. And there's just no room for hate. That is quite possibly the most useless state of mind to be in. Being hateful serves no purpose whatsoever. It just rots your soul, or whatever you want to call it. It destroys your mind. It takes the edge off your ability to function as a normal, productive member of society, and it just leads to, I don't know, it just leads to things that serve no purpose and have no value. That's just the way I see it. So, at any rate, I think I've rambled on about what I was going to ramble on about. I just wanted to say one thing. This is kind of weird. Like, I look at the blue here, and it's like flickering on the camera, but not in real life, not in reality. Ooh, spooky. Anyway, so what last thing I wanted to say is I have a saber coming from England, from a company called Kennedy Custom Props, and it's an interesting piece that I'm hoping I get soon. It's an FX saber, but it's a stunt FX saber. It does. I've probably mentioned this before, but it does. It has clash, and it has flash on glass. It has flicker, effects in it, fade in and fade out as far as when the LED ignites. So that's gonna be an interesting piece for a stunt saber. That's like a new paradigm for me. So I'm looking forward to that, and obviously I'm looking forward to my new saber trio when it shows up, and just a bunch of other sabers that just um, are spectacular, or will be whenever I receive them. Anyway, so thank you for your patience and listen to me just unload all my brain thoughts into your brains. And if you made it to the end of this video, I thank you. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And well, I'll see what I come up with tomorrow. Hopefully, it'll be entertaining for y'all. Okay, now, well, I hope you will and boo. Bye.